Apparently, America, they are up to something else. Why is it that they are reluctant to help the Floridian, but they continue to spend billions of dollars on the Ukraine war and on the Israel war? What about their own citizen? Something is going on. Who are they really correlating with? Well, we are going to find out. And I want you to see the interview with Kamala Harris. Listen to this. It's very intriguing.
We supply Israel with billions of dollars in military aid. Mm-hmm. And yet Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to be charting his own course. The Biden-Harris administration has pressed him to agree to a ceasefire. He's resisted. You urged him not to go into Lebanon. He went in anyway. He has promised to make Iran pay for the missile attack, and that has the potential of expanding the war. Does the U.S. have no sway over Prime Minister Netanyahu?
The aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel. And when we think about the threat that Hamas, Hezbollah presents, Iran, I think that it is without any question our imperative to do what we can to allow Israel to defend itself against those kinds of attacks. Now, the work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles, which include the need for humanitarian aid, the need for this war to end, the need for a deal to be done, which would release the hostages and create a ceasefire. And we're not going to stop in terms of putting that pressure on Israel and in the region, including Arab leaders.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Do we have a real close ally in Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I think, with all due respect, the better question is, do we have an important alliance between the American people and the Israeli people? And the answer to that question is yes.
Now on this one, DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he rebukes and exposes Kamala Harris and the government and their support. They are reluctant to hear what he has to say. Nonetheless, they continue to try to cause him to appear to be the one who's neglecting the problem that's going on in Florida. I want you to hear what Kamala Harris said, and then I want you to see how he responded to what was stated.
On that as needed.
Governor, I know Kamala Harris called you selfish. She said she's tried to contact you to talk to you about hurricane relief, and I know that you said I think you said she didn't try to contact you. We want to get your response, but first listen to what she said. Well, we don't have the sound, but she said, moment of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone calls himself a leader, says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now and playing political games at this moment in these crisis situations. These are the height of emergency situations. It's just utterly irresponsible, and it's selfish, and it's about political gamemanship. What's your response?
Well, I think she should look in the mirror. We've been on an emergency footing for 2 weeks straight, round the clock, 24/7. We've been working, my office, our Division of Emergency Management, helping people prepare for Hurricane Helene, helping effectuate rescues of people after Hurricane Helene, helping people pick up the pieces of their lives after Helene, and then have to also turn around and prepare for major impacts and maybe even more impacts from Hurricane Milton, be able to have rescue personnel ready to help people, and then of course help with the power restoration, all these things to do. So that's been my sole focus. My focus has not been on dealing with Kamala Harris. I saw the news report. I didn't know she tried to contact me, but I'd also say it's not about you, Kamala. Right. It's about the people of Florida. My focus is exactly where it should be. And I can tell you this, I've worked on these hurricanes under both President Trump and President Biden. Neither of them ever tried to politicize it. She has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now. Why all of a sudden is she trying to parachute in and inject herself when she's never shown any interest in the past? We know it's because of politics. We know it's because of her campaign. I have zero time to entertain these political games. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to prepare and respond to what may be one of the most damaging storms in the history of the United States. So she says focusing on protecting your people is selfish. I think she ought to look in the mirror.
And right now, Governor, just to conclude, you have what you need from the federal government as well as you feel like you have the resources in place. Is that correct?
Every request we've made, and I've been in contact with the president, I've been in contact with the FEMA director. You know, it's interesting. Harris is not even in the chain of command.
Yeah, what is
she has no role in this. I mean, the idea that I should be like worrying about her when I'm focused on the task at hand is just quite frankly absurd. So yes, all of our requests have been answered. We have marshaled all state resources that are available to us. It's going to be a very robust response, but it's going to be a lot of damage, and we're bracing for that. I'd ask everyone to keep us in your prayers. We know we're going to get hit, but hopefully we can pray that this storm will weaken and do the least amount of damage possible.
All right,
absolutely.
Well,
great job out there.
Best of luck.
As large as Tampa, Florida, underwater. The mayor of Tampa, and there are some dozen towns around it, said today, if you stay, you will die. Ron DeSantis is the governor of that state. He has truly a lot to deal with. They're still recovering from Hurricane Helene, which devastated the same area 2 weeks ago. And she decides to get political with him and to pick a fight with him. Why? Because she's probably still ticked off about his abortion law and his ill-named, according to the Dems, Don't Say Gay bill, which was not anything of the kind. So she thinks he's going to be fun to fight with, without any appreciation for the distraction she's now causing for a man who truly has people's lives in his hands. I heard a guy who lives in Florida, well-known commentator here, Charlie Cook, talking about this recently, saying, really in Florida, he's a Florida resident. We elect somebody as governor just so they can get us through hurricanes. That's the main job, get us through hurricanes. Ron DeSantis is doing it, and he's done a stellar job of it. She decides it'll be fun to needle him. It'll be fun to distract him. It'll be fun to get political on him because he didn't take my phone call. He ignored me. So when she gets a mic in front of her, oh, now she wants to talk to the press. Great, I'll talk to him. And she stops outside of her airplane and she says, oh, he's playing politics. He won't take a phone call from me. He won't talk to Joe Biden. Then what a terrible time to get political. Well, Ron DeSantis goes on Fox News with Sean Hannity on Monday night and he let her have it.
Good evening tonight from Florida, where Hurricane Milton has left a devastating path of destruction. And it wasn't just the hurricane, it was the deadly tornadoes spawned by this system. Well more than 36 reported tornadoes. We are here in Fort Pierce in St. Lucie County, where authorities late today revealed at least 6 people have now died from these tornadoes. In fact, the family in this home right behind me, a mother and father and her 4 young children, they all survived this. The parents were huddled over their children as the windows came crashing in. The interior walls began to buckle when one of those tornadoes soon moved in. Meantime, on Florida's Gulf Coast tonight, where the hurricane made landfall last night, the stunning damage is just now coming to light tonight. Landfall around 8:30 Eastern Time last night near Sarasota. Hurricane Milton was a Category 3 with 120-mile-an-hour winds. In St. Petersburg, the winds ripping the roof off of the Tropicana Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. First responders have been gathering in that stadium and were moved just before the hurricane blew in. A giant construction crane smashing onto an office building in downtown St. Petersburg, coming straight down. Tonight, there have been hundreds of rescues from the storm surge and flooding. This 14-year-old boy actually rescued from the rising waters, clinging to debris. In Punta Gorda, boats carried by the storm surge left on lawns. Hurricane Milton also spawning 126 tornado warnings across a wide swath of the state, shattering Florida's record for tornado warnings issued in a single day. In the end, more than 36 tornadoes reported on the ground, this giant twister right near Palm Beach. And here in Fort Pierce, violent tornadoes turn homes to splinters. I spoke with one couple trapped in their car. They had just pulled into their driveway when the tornado was suddenly right over them. Tonight here, the devastation across this state, the rescue efforts still underway at this hour, and the families who told me here, they are grateful they survived this. Tonight here, millions across Florida are getting their first look at the deadly, catastrophic damage and widespread flooding caused by Hurricane Milton. Roaring ashore as a Category 3 hurricane, bringing powerful 120-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rain, and torrential flooding, making landfall in Sarasota County at 8:30 p.m. Eastern last night as we were on the air. Hurricane Milton has just made landfall. The winds howling. I can tell you, the winds have been extraordinary here. The rain coming in sideways. You can see it blowing here behind us. Tonight, at least 10 dead from this storm, and that number is expected to grow. Oh my God. This evening, more than 3 million people in Florida are without power. Oh, there it is! Transformers exploding, streetlights crashing, a tree coming down through the roof of this home. In downtown St. Petersburg, trees toppled by the hurricane. The roof of Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Bay Rays, shredded, parts of the roof ripped off. It was supposed to be used as a shelter for 10,000 emergency workers. They were sent elsewhere just before the hurricane hit. Tonight, the view inside. Debris scattered across the stadium. No! And not far from the stadium, a crane smashing into this building where the Tampa Bay Times is located.
We felt a huge bang, shook our building. You can see it right from across our window, and the crane was gone.
In North Fort Myers, a horrific sight in the rising waters.
That was a big alligator just for our tire!
An alligator emerging from the floodwaters, biting at this car's tires. Tonight, the massive search and rescue operation now underway. Orange County Fire Rescue waiting in waist-deep waters to rescue stranded residents. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office going door to door on boats and in high water vehicles, rescuing trapped families. Tonight, they say they've rescued more than 725 people and counting. Among them, 135 residents from a senior living facility. And this 14-year-old boy floating on a piece of fence. And even before Hurricane Milton made landfall, the system spawning deadly tornadoes across Florida, all the way to the East Coast and across South Florida. These NOAA time-lapse satellite images as Milton barrels closer, showing intense lightning strikes across South Florida. There were at least 38 reported tornadoes, the most tornado warnings in a single day ever for Florida. Look at that! In Wellington, Florida, power lines flaring as a tornado rips across the road.
Need to go.
In Broward County, near Alligator Alley,
Watch out. Oh, let's turn back around.
these residents evacuating when all of a sudden their phone began receiving emergency tornado alerts. And then they see it.
It's a great damn big.
And tonight from above, you can see the devastation. Across Martin and Palm Beach counties, homes destroyed. In Fort Pierce, large violent tornadoes hitting multiple communities. We met a mother and father, grateful to have survived this with their 4 children. All the windows blew in, the doors were coming off their hinges. And did you guys just huddle with the kids?
We did. We did.
Karen and Roger Desir show us the X that authorities sprayed on their garage door. This X on your garage door means they checked the house to make sure.
To check that we were alive.
And the kids are okay.